Listen, right now, wherever you are in the United States, stop for a second and hear this clearly. You are not behind in life. You are not forgotten. And you are definitely not unlucky. But you have been waiting for the right time, waiting for a sign, waiting for luck to finally show up and change everything for you. And I'm here to tell you something that might shake you a little. Luck is not coming to save you. Nobody is coming to hand you the life you keep dreaming about. Not your friends, not your family, not the timing, not the system. It's you. It has always been you, because the truth is what you call a luck is just preparation meeting opportunity. And if you are not prepared, you will never even recognize the opportunity when it shows up. So while you are waiting, life is moving. While you are hoping, others are building. While you are praying for a breakthrough, someone else is becoming the person who deserves it. And that is why this message exists. Not to comfort you, but to wake you up. Because today is the day you stop waiting for luck and start becoming unstoppable. Listen to me carefully, because this is not just motivation. This is a wake-up call, a real one. Not the kind that makes you feel good for 5 minutes, but the kind that changes the direction of your life. You have been living in a cycle. Wake up. Scroll, think, worry, repeat. And every day you tell yourself, tomorrow I'll start. But tomorrow never becomes today. And that is the truth that hurts the most. You are not stuck because life is against you. You are stuck because you are waiting for energy, waiting for motivation, waiting for confidence, waiting for the perfect moment. But let me tell you something you won't like. There is no perfect moment. There never was. The people you admire, the ones you call a lucky, the ones you think were born different, they didn't wait. They moved while you hesitated. They built while you were thinking. They failed while you were still planning. And that is the difference. Not talent, not luck, not background, action. You keep asking life to change, but you refuse to change your habits. You keep asking for success, but you avoid discipline. You keep praying for a breakthrough, but you ignore responsibility. And I need you to understand this clearly. Your life is not controlled by luck. Your life is controlled by patterns. What you do daily becomes what you become permanently. So if your life is not changing, your patterns are the problem, not the world, not the economy, not people, you. And I'm not saying this to break you. I'm saying this to wake you up. Because there is something inside you, something you have ignored for too long. Potential. But potential without action is just pain. It turns into frustration. It turns into anxiety. It turns into regret. And one day, you will look back and realize the life you wanted was never missing. You just refused to build it. So today is not about motivation. Today is about truth. And the truth is simple. Nobody is coming to rescue you. Nobody is going to suddenly fix your life. No perfect moment is arriving. You either take control or life takes control of you. And that is the moment you must decide. Will you keep waiting for luck, or will you finally become unstoppable? Let's talk about something you've been misunderstanding your whole life: luck. You've been told that some people are just lucky, that success just happens to certain people, that timing decides everything. But that is not the truth. That is the story people tell themselves when they don't want to face responsibility, because real life doesn't work on luck. Real life works on preparation. It is shaping you into someone you have never been before, but only if you stay in the process. Because if you quit now, you don't escape pain, you just repeat it later. So don't ask why is this happening to me? Ask instead, what is this trying to build inside me? Because one day you will look back at this season and realize it was the beginning of your strength, not the end of your hope. Now I need you to hear this like your life depends on it. Because it does. You have spent enough time waiting for motivation, waiting for confidence, waiting for the right time, waiting for life to feel easier. But let me tell you something you already know deep down. Waiting is not changing your life, it is delaying it. Every day you wait, you are reinforcing one belief inside your mind, that I will start later. And the later slowly becomes your identity. One day becomes 1 week. 1 week becomes 1 month. 1 month becomes 1 year. And suddenly you are not waiting anymore. You are stuck. Not because life trapped you, but because you trained yourself to delay. And that is the most dangerous habit a human can build. Because life does not reward intention. Life rewards execution. Nobody is coming to give you discipline. Nobody is coming to give you structure. Nobody is coming to force you to change. That responsibility is yours alone. And yes, it feels heavy, because ownership always feels heavy at first, but it is also the only way out. You don't need another sign. You don't need another video. You don't need another quote. You need action. Small action, repeated action, uncomfortable action. Because action is the only thing that breaks the waiting cycle. You don't think your way into a new life. You move your way into it. And I need you to understand something clearly. You are not tired because life is hard. You are tired because you are mentally uncommitted. Half effort drains more energy than full effort ever will, because your mind knows you are not serious. That's why you feel stuck. Not because you lack ability, but because you lack decision. A decision to stop waiting. A decision to start now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not when you feel ready. Now. Because the truth is simple, there is no perfect starting point. There is only starting. And the moment you start, something inside you shifts. Your identity begins to change. Your mindset begins to sharpen. Your direction begins to form. And slowly, you stop being someone who waits. And you start becoming someone who moves. Someone who acts. Someone who builds. Someone who doesn't negotiate with excuses anymore. So ask yourself right now, how long will you keep waiting for a life that only responds to action? Because at some point, you have to stop waiting for luck and start becoming unstoppable. Now listen closely, because this is where everything changes for you. You don't need more motivation. You need discipline. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is structural. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays when everything else disappears, and if you are only relying on how you feel, you will never become consistent, because some days you will feel powerful, and some days you will feel empty. Some days you will feel ready, and some days you will feel lost. But life does not pause for your emotions. It keeps moving, and that is why discipline is not optional. It is essential. You have to become the kind of person who acts regardless of mood, not because you feel like it, but because it must be done. That is the difference between people who stay stuck and people who rise. Because success is not built in emotional moments. It is built in repeated, boring, uncomfortable decisions. Waking up when you don't want to. Working when nobody is watching. Continuing when there is no immediate reward. That is discipline. And it is not glamorous. No one claps for it. No one posts about it. No one celebrates it in the beginning. But it quietly builds everything you want. You see people at the top and think they are different, but they are not. They just mastered something most people avoid: control over emotion. Because emotion will lie to you. It will tell you to wait. It will tell you to rest. It will tell you tomorrow is fine, but discipline tells the truth. Do it now or stay the same. And I need you to understand something important. Every time you ignore discipline, you strengthen weakness. And every time you follow discipline, you weaken the old version of you. That means your life is not changing randomly. It is being shaped daily by your choices. So stop negotiating with your feelings. Stop asking yourself, do I feel like it? That question will destroy your potential. Instead, ask, what needs to be done? Because your future self is not built on emotional comfort. It is built on repeated discipline. And yes, it will feel hard at first, because your old self will resist structure. So build discipline like your life depends on it, because it does. And one day you will realize you didn't become unstoppable by feeling ready. You became unstoppable by refusing to stop. Now I want you to understand something most people never learn. There comes a point in your life where you stop trying to impress everyone and you start focusing on becoming dangerous. Not violent, not reckless, but dangerous in discipline, dangerous in focus, dangerous in execution. Because the world does not fear loud intentions, it respects silent results. Right now, too many people are distracted, too many opinions in their head, too many voices telling them what they should be doing. But greatness is never built in noise. It is built in silence, in the hours nobody sees, in the work nobody applauds, in the consistency nobody understands. And that is where you must go. You must become so focused that distractions start feeling uncomfortable. So committed that excuses stop making sense. So locked in that your old habits can't recognize you anymore. Because the real danger is not failure. The real danger is being average for too long. Staying comfortable, staying predictable, staying the same. That is what destroys potential. Not big mistakes, but small distractions repeated daily. And I need you to hear this clearly. Your future is not built in big moments. It is built in private habits. What you do when nobody is watching determines everything. Because anyone can be strong in public, but only a few can be disciplined in private. That is where separation happens. That is where winners are made. So if you want to become unstoppable, you have to become dangerous with your focus. You cannot be everywhere mentally. You cannot respond to everything emotionally. You cannot entertain every distraction. You must choose one direction and protect it like your life depends on it. Because every time you say yes to distraction, you are saying a no to your future. And every time you say a no to distraction, you are saying yes to your potential. That is the trade. And the people who win understand this early. They don't chase everything. They don't react to everything. They don't involve themselves in everything. Focus. And focus makes them dangerous. Because focused people are not predictable. They are not easy to stop. They are not easy to distract. They move with purpose. They build with intention. They grow in silence. And one day, while everyone is still talking, they are already living the life others are still dreaming about. So ask yourself, are you going to stay distracted, or are you going to become dangerous with your focus? Now we reach the point most people never survive, the transformation phase. This is the stage where everything feels like it is falling apart, but in reality, everything is being rebuilt. And I need you to understand this deeply. You are not becoming someone new without losing someone old. Old version of you, the one that procrastinates, the one that doubts, the one that waits, the one that quits too early. That version does not disappear peacefully. It fights back. It resists change. It pulls you toward comfort. It reminds you of your old habits. It tries to convince you that growth is unnecessary. And that is why this phase feels painful. Because you are not just building a new life, you are breaking an old identity. An identity does not change easily. It collapses slowly. Piece by piece, old habits start to feel uncomfortable. Old excuses stop working. Old distractions stop giving satisfaction. And suddenly, the things you used to enjoy don't feel the same anymore. That is not confusion, that is transformation. Because growth always creates discomfort before it creates clarity. And most people misinterpret that discomfort as failure. They think something is wrong, when in reality, something is being upgraded. But let me tell you something important. You cannot carry your old mindset into your new life. It will not fit. Because your new life requires discipline your old self never had. It requires focus your old self avoided. It requires patience your old self rejected. So the transformation phase forces you to let go. Let go of comfort. Let go of excuses. Let go of instant gratification. And yes, it feels like loss, but it is actually gain. Because every time you release an old habit, you create space for a stronger one. Every time you resist distraction, you build mental strength. Every time you choose discipline, you rewrite your identity. And slowly, something begins to happen inside you. You stop reacting like your old self. You stop thinking like your old self. You stop living like your old self. And that is the moment you start becoming dangerous in a new way. Not loud dangerous, but disciplined dangerous. Focused dangerous. Unshakable dangerous. And yes, people around you may not understand it because they are still living in the version of you that is disappearing. But you are not responsible for their understanding. You are responsible for your evolution. Evolution always looks strange at first. Because people expect you to stay the same, but you are not staying the same anymore. You are in transition, and transition is uncomfortable because it is uncertain. But uncertainty is where growth lives, because certainty keeps you the same, and uncertainty forces you to grow. So if things feel unstable right now, if you feel like you are losing interest in old things, if you feel disconnected from your old habits, if you feel like nothing makes sense yet, good. That means the transformation is working. You are not falling apart. You are falling into alignment until alignment. And one day you will look back at this exact phase and realize it was not destruction, it was construction. You were being rebuilt into someone stronger, someone sharper, someone unstoppable, but only if you don't quit in the middle of the transformation. Now listen, this is where everything comes together, because at this point you already know the truth. You know luck is not coming. You know discipline is required. You know pain has meaning. You know transformation is happening. But knowing is not enough anymore. Now comes the final push, execution. Because there is a dangerous gap between understanding and doing. And most people live their entire lives inside that gap. They understand everything, but they change nothing. They watch, they learn, they wait, but they never move. And that is where dreams go to die, not in failure, but in delay. So right now, I need you to make a decision. Not emotionally, but mentally. A final decision that changes direction. Because at some point, motivation has to end and identity has to begin. You are no longer someone who waits. You are no longer someone who hesitates. You are no longer someone who hopes. You are someone who acts. Even when it is hard, even when it is unclear, even when it is uncomfortable. Because that is what unstoppable people do. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They create movement in imperfect conditions. And that is your shift. From waiting to moving, from thinking to doing, from hoping to building. And yes, it will feel heavy at first, because change always fights back. But if you stay consistent, something powerful begins to happen. The resistance fades, the discipline strengthens. The identity locks in, and one day you wake up and realize you are no longer the person you used to be. You don't need reminders anymore. You don't need motivation anymore. You don't need external pressure anymore, because now you are the standard. And this is the final push to stop returning to old habits, to stop negotiating with excuses, to stop delaying your life, because everything you want is on the other side of action. Not thinking, not waiting, not planning, action. And once you cross that line, there is no going back. Now something changes, and it does not change outside of you first. It changes inside you, quietly, slowly, permanently. Because this is the moment where repetition stops feeling like effort and starts becoming identity. You don't even notice it at first. One day you just realize you are not the same person anymore. You don't think the same, you don't react the same, you don't tolerate the same things you used to tolerate. And that shift is not accidental. It is built through consistency, built through repetition, built through discipline when nobody was watching. Because listen carefully, you do not become unstoppable in one moment. You become unstoppable through thousands of small decisions that no one sees, but everything depends on. Every time you chose discipline over distraction, every time you showed up when you didn't feel like it, every time you continued when it felt pointless, you were rewriting your identity, and now it starts to show. You are no longer forcing yourself to act differently. You simply act differently. You simply act differently. That is identity, because effort is temporary, but identity is permanent. And most people stay stuck because they live in effort forever. They are always trying, always forcing, always struggling against themselves. But you are crossing a line now, where it is no longer about trying, it is about becoming. You are becoming the person who does not negotiate with excuses. You are becoming the person who does not depend on motivation. You are becoming the person who moves with purpose, even in silence. And slowly, something powerful begins to take over your life. Consistency becomes normal. Discipline becomes natural. Focus becomes default. And the things that once felt hard start feeling automatic, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. And when that happens, your entire reality begins to shift. People around you start noticing something they cannot explain. You are calmer, but more focused. You are quieter, but more powerful. You are less reactive, but more intentional. And that is the beginning of real transformation. Because real change is not loud. Real change is silent. It does not announce itself. It does not ask for attention. It just becomes undeniable over time. And now you start to understand something deeper. You were never waiting for luck. You were being trained. Trained by failure. Trained by silence. Trained by repetition. Trained by pressure. And all of it was shaping you into someone stronger than you used to be. But here is the truth most people miss. You are not done yet. Because identity is not a destination, it is a daily decision. Every day you wake up, you either reinforce your old self or you strengthen your new one. There is no neutral. You are either growing or slipping, building or repeating, evolving or staying stuck. And now you know what to do. You don't wait, you don't hesitate, you don't go back. You reinforce who you are becoming, again and again until the new version of you becomes permanent. And at that point, you don't chase success anymore, you carry it, because you became the type of person it follows. Now listen to me one last time, because this is not just the end of a speech. This is the moment everything becomes real. You started this thinking about luck. You started this waiting for change. You started this looking for motivation. But you are not the same person anymore. Something shifted inside you while you were listening, not loud, not dramatic, but real. And now you see it clearly. Luck was never the answer. Waiting was never the solution. Motivation was never the foundation. It was always action. It was always discipline. It was always you. And that truth changes everything, because now you understand your life was never random. Your results were never accidental. Your future was never out of reach. It was being shaped by what you did when nobody was watching. And now the responsibility is fully in your hands. No more blaming timing. No more waiting for signs. No more expecting the world to push you forward. Because real life doesn't move like that. Real life responds to movement. And now you either move or you stay the same. There is no in between. And I need you to feel this deeply. Every second you hesitate, life continues without you. Every day you delay, opportunity shifts away from you. Every moment you wait, someone else is building what you keep imagining. But here is the powerful part. It is not too late. It has never been too late. Because the moment you decide to change direction, everything resets. Not instantly, but progressively. Slowly at first, then suddenly. Because that is how transformation works. You don't become unstoppable in one moment. You become unstoppable in a pattern. A pattern of showing up. A pattern of discipline. A pattern of refusing to quit. And one day, without even realizing it, you wake up and notice something different. You don't question yourself anymore. You don't negotiate with your emotions anymore. You don't wait for motivation anymore. You just move. And that version of you is not the old you trying harder. It is a completely different identity that has been built through repetition. And when you reach that point, life stops feeling like something happening to you and starts feeling like something you are shaping. Because now you are not reacting anymore. You are creating habits, creating direction, creating momentum, creating a future that used to only exist in your mind, and people will start noticing it. Not because you announced it, but because you became it. Quietly, consistently, relentlessly. And one day someone will ask you, how did you change your life? And your answer will be simple, not. You stopped waiting, you stopped doubting, you stopped delaying, and you started becoming. And now here is the final truth. You were never meant to stay where you started. You were meant to evolve. You were meant to rise. You were meant to rise. You were meant to become more than your circumstances. But only if you choose it, every single day. So now the message ends, but your life does not. This is where it begins. Not tomorrow, not later, not when you feel ready. Now, because from this moment forward, you are no longer someone who waits for luck. You are someone who builds unstoppable momentum, and nothing can take that away from you. Stop waiting for life to change and start changing your life.